council meeting, beginning with our order of business. We have one reading under final reading for finance. Mr. Attorney, since this is a second reading, do we still need a roll call?
Yes, sir, I would.
Okay.
Because it is on the budget issue.
All right, Madam Clerk, if you would, 7A, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 13991, also known as the fiscal year 2023-2024 operations budget for the city of Chattanooga to transfer the fiscal year 2024 net surplus funds from the sale of city of Chattanooga delinquent tax parcels in the Hamilton County surplus property sale to the Chattanooga Land Bank Authority.
And if you would, roll call, please. Oh, well, let me yeah, let's get, okay, we do now have a proper motion on the floor with a second. Any questions or comments before we vote? Trying to be efficient, Councilman. All right, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilman Ledford? Councilman Hester?
Yeah.
Councilwoman Burrs?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dolly? Yes. Councilwoman Noel?
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod? Chair Henderson?
Yes.
Say yeses.
All right, motion carries. Moving now into our planning items, Council, we went over this afternoon and there was no concerns. So Madam Clerk, with no objections, would you read B through F, or B through G, please?
Yes. Item B, an ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property located at 3827 Mountaintop Road from R1 residential zone to A1 urban agricultural zone, subject to certain conditions. Item C, an ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property located at 305 Browns Ferry Road from R2 residential zone to C2 convenience commercial zone, subject to certain conditions. Item D, an ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property located at 724 North Market Street and an unaddressed property in the 700 block of Hamilton Avenue from ERM3 Urban Edge Multi-Unit Residential Zone to ECX3 Urban Edge Commercial Mixed-Use Zone, subject to certain conditions. Item E, an ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property located at 7712 Standard Gap Road from RZ1 zero lot line residential zone to R2 residential zone. Item F, an ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property located at 1939 Central Avenue from UGC Urban General Commercial Zone, UGC prior to 2024, with conditions to UGC Urban General Commercial Zone, current UGC, subject to certain conditions. And item G, an ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property located at 2807 Curtis Street from R1 residential zone to RTZ residential townhouse zero lot line zone, subject to certain conditions.
Councilman Ledford?
Mr. Chair, move to approve on final read.
We have a motion on the floor to approve items 7B through G with a proper second. Were there any questions or comments before we vote? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Moving now into ordinances, first reading under planning. Madam Clerk, 8A, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property located at 4416 Jersey Pike from R1 residential zone to RTZ residential townhouse zero lot line zone, subject to certain conditions.
All right, case number 2024-0050. Is the applicant present? Is there any opposition present? Councilman Hester, I see no applicant nor any opposition.
I wanted to motion to defer this 8A for 2 weeks to June the 4th, please.
All right. We have a motion on the floor to defer until June the 4th with a proper second. Are there any questions or comments before we vote? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. So moved. 8B, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone properties located at 608, 614, and 4 unaddressed properties in the 600 block of Central Avenue from R3 residential zone to UGC urban general commercial zone, subject to certain conditions.
Case number 2023-0179. Is the applicant present? All right, thank you, sir. Is there any opposition present? Okay, all right. Councilwoman Knoll, I see an applicant with several in opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, council family. What I would like to do with this, there is still some valid concerns that need to be addressed. Some of the concerns have been met, but there's still some that still has not been addressed. So what I would like to do in order for us to have to go through this now and then come back again and hear it again, I would like to defer this until July the 9th, whereas those valid concerns that have been brought to my attention, and I think all of the council family received an email on this, if I'm correctly. So, if that will be okay in the form of a motion, I will defer until July the 9th, and let's see if we cannot get together and give attention to those concerns that have not been addressed.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to defer until July the 9th with a proper second. Any questions or comments before we vote? All in favor, aye. Any opposed, no. Motion to defer does carry.
Council family, I appreciate you all working with me on this. I might have to change my middle name to Defer.
Moving now into resolutions with no objection. Council, Madam Clerk, if you would, let's take items A through F as a group.
Item A. A resolution authorizing the mayor and his designee to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Cromwell Development One LLC and substantially the form attached for the term of 1 year with the option to renew for 3 additional terms of 1 year each for the use of the gymnasium at Cromwell Hills Apartments to operate programs for youth, young adults, and families on the property located at 3940 Camellia Drive. Item B, a resolution authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a contract for sale and purchase in substantially the form attached with the Trust for Public Land for the acquisition of property at 4343 Shallowford Road, identified as tax parcel number 147CE002, with an acquisition and appraised value price of $200,000 to be funded by $158,000 in grant funds, a $6,000 donation from a local canoe club, and the $36,000 balance payable by the city of Chattanooga, and to authorize the payment of reimbursable expenses incurred by the Trust for Public Land for the acquisition of the property and city closing fees for acquisition of the property, both of which shall not exceed the sum of $19,000. Item C, a resolution authorizing the mayor and his designee to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Chattanooga Housing Authority and substantially the form attached for a term of 1 year with the option to renew for 3 additional terms of 1 year each for the use of the Sheila Jennings Wellness Center to operate programs for youth, young adults, and families on the property located at 1201 Poplar Street. Item D, a resolution authorizing the mayor and his designee to enter into a second amendment to ground lease agreement with Sculpture Fields at Montague Park in substantially the form attached to increase the lease premises for a net gain of 1,069 square feet. Item E, a resolution authorizing the mayor and his designee to enter into a first amendment to ground lease agreement with Chattanooga FC Foundation and substantially the form attached to decrease the lease premises for a net loss of 1,069 square feet and for the site construction performance to be amended to require completion in phases with performance dates to be agreed upon between the parties at a later date. Item F, a resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Economic Development to use Tennessee Housing Development Agency, THDA, program income to provide a grant in the amount of $25,000 to LifeSpring Community Health to assist with costs to extend service hours and providing pediatric health care.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. What's the pleasure of the council? We have a motion on the floor to approve items 9A through F with a proper second. Are there any questions or comments before we vote? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Moving now into finance, Madam Clerk, with no objections, 9G and H.
Item G, a resolution to amend resolution number 31312, establishing a policy for supplemental to allowance for eligible employees in the Department of Wastewater at the Moccasin Bend Environmental Campus and the Department of Public Works for the fleet garages located at Amnicola Highway and 12th Street. Item H, a resolution authorizing the fire department to apply for and, if awarded, accept the Port Security Grant PSG from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, to be used to purchase 2 fluorospectroscopic personal radiation detectors, 1 radionuclide device, and 1 backpack radiation detector used for special events the city hosts, as well as for any emergency where radiation exposure is suspected, in the amount of $47,227 with a 25% match in the amount of $15,743 for a total in the amount of $62,970.
Councilwoman Burrs.
Move approval.
We have a motion on the floor to approve items G and H. Any questions or comments before we vote? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. So moved. Moving now to Office of Community Health. Madam Clerk, 9I and J.
Item I, a resolution authorizing the Office of Community Health to apply for and, if awarded, accept the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation prize of $250,000 to use the funds to address the health disparities in underserved communities. Item J, a resolution authorizing the City of Chattanooga to apply for and, if awarded, accept the BJA FY24 Office of Justice Programs Community-Based Violence Intervention and Prevention Site-Based Grant for the Chattanooga United to Reduce Violence Curve Initiative to bring stakeholders together to strengthen community safety, address youth, young adult, gang violence, and deter shootings through comprehensive community-based and resident response programming with our violence interruption program in high-crime, high-risk areas in Chattanooga for an amount not to exceed $2 million.
Move approval.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve items 9I and J with a proper second. Any questions or comments before we vote? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed is no. Motion carries. Moving now into planning. Madam Clerk, if you would, let's take 9K, please.
A resolution approving a new special exceptions permit for a liquor store located at 3548 Cummings Highway.
Councilman Ledford. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Recognizing this is in your district, I do move to approve.
I will second that, Chairman, knowing you're very much in support of local businesses in your district.
Absolutely. All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve, the proper second. Any questions or comments before we vote? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed is no. And Madam Clerk, the chair does voice a no.
All right.
9L, please.
A resolution approving a new special exceptions permit for a new liquor store located at 6506 Bonnie Oaks Drive.
This is in District 6. All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve with a proper second. Questions or comments before we vote? Councilman Ledford, did you have a comment?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, all in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed is no. And again, Madam Clerk, the chair voices no. Moving now into purchases. Ms. Julia.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
We have 5 purchases recommended for approval this evening. The first is from Technology Services. This is a 6-month contract extension with Central Square Technologies, who supplies the record management and field-based reporting tool currently being used by the Chattanooga Police Department. The blanket purchase agreement expired January 13th of 2024 and is not being renewed due to the replacement solution that is being implemented. The 6-month contract extension is an additional $98,946.90 to maintain the current product until the go-live date. The new annual spend will be $448,946.90. Second is from Technology Services. This is a new blanket contract for Dashline Security Site License. This will be a 4-year agreement not to exceed $32,000 for years 1 and 2, $33,600 for year 3, and $35,280 for year 4, for a total estimate of $132,880. Dashline is a sole source vendor whose password software offers confidential computing for password management for all devices that access city network. SSO functionality exceeds other products, and application provides security functionality not offered by other software. Third is also from Technology Services. This is a new blanket contract for Gartner Consulting for IT research and advisory services. This will be a 1-year agreement not to exceed $54,629.25. The award will go to Gartner Group, Inc., using the State of Tennessee contract number SWC 3010-62951. Fourth purchase is from the Department of Parks and Outdoors, Parks Maintenance Division. Council approval is requested for a name change only for grounds maintenance from Landscape Associates, Inc. to Landscape Workshop. Existing blanket agreement PA 100250 was approved by council on July 12th of 2022, and an award was made to Landscape Associates, Inc. on July 26th of 2022 after formal advertising and bidding. The name change is the result of Landscape Associates, Inc. partnering with Landscape Workshop. The fifth and final purchase is from Wastewater. This is a blanket contract annual spend increase request for rental equipment with Stowers Rental and Supply, Inc. The increased amount is $25,000, which will increase our annual spend to $100,000.
Move approval.
We have a motion on the floor to approve this evening's purchases with a proper second. Are there any questions or comments before we vote? All in favor, aye. Any opposed, no. So moved.
We do have one emergency purchase to report to the council from Public Works. This is an emergency purchase in the amount of $197,318 with Tri-State Roofing for repairs. On April 18th, a high wind event toppled a tree onto Fire Station 16, which resulted in multiple tree limbs penetrating roughly half of the roof, damaging the roof membrane, subroof materials, decking, bar joists, and interior ceilings and walls. The tree was removed and temporary weather protection repairs were made. Currently, 2 of the sleeping quarters are unusable as a result of the damage. Fire Station 16 roof was already in design to be replaced this year, but the storm damage has necessitated immediate repairs and replacement to prevent further damage to the building.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Moving now to committee reports. Councilwoman Coonrod. Councilwoman Knoll.
No report.
Councilwoman Dotley. Councilman Smith.
No report, Mr. Chair.
Councilman Ledford.
No report, Mr. Chairman.
We do have, just by way of, I guess, announcement, June the 4th, we're doing our work session for planning and zoning.
Yes, and we've noted that for a while now.
Okay.
That is accurate. June 4th at 1 p.m. in the Collins Conference Room. We will be holding our 4th and final new zoning code workshop.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Councilman Hester.
No report, Chairman.
Councilwoman Burrs.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we had our final education session for the budget today, and we will be having our vote. No, we'll have our public hearing on the 4th?
June the 4th.
Yeah.
And that'll be at 6 p.m., correct?
Yeah, and then we'll be doing further discussion of money, not actually of budget concerns, but of ARP funds, the following week. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Under other business, Mr. Attorney.
Yes, sir. There has been a background investigation and zoning request for an establishment here at 3548 Cummings Highway, Chattanooga, Tennessee, which meets the requirements for the operation of a retail liquor store at that location. There has also been a request for a retail liquor store at 6506 Bonnie Oaks Drive, Ma Navduga, DBA Sunrise Liquors, which meets the requirements of our city code for those requirements there. And thirdly, there is a retail food store, Weigel Stores, Inc., DBA Weigel's number 107 at 3107 Amnicola Highway, which is a retail food store wishing to be able to operate and sell beer. So those wine and beer requests have been made, as well as the 2 liquor store requests, and they have been reviewed and approved by the council.
You do have the signatures needed.
Yes, sir, I do have.
Thank you. Now, moving to our order of business, recognizing persons wishing to address the council this afternoon. Do we have anybody that would like to address the council? And while you come, I'm going to ask the attorney if he would to read the rules for addressing the council this afternoon.
Yes, sir. And at the end of each business meeting for the city council, the chair will recognize members of the public who wish to address the council. Here's your rules. Each speaker wishing to address the council can only be recognized at the microphone provided up front for that purpose. Can't have more than 3 minutes to speak, and the speaker can address the council only upon matters within the legislative and quasi-judicial authority of the council, and not on matters which are not under the authority of the council and are regulated by other governmental bodies or agencies. The speaker cannot use vulgar or obscene language, nor use support to personally attack or personally denigrate others, and address the council as a whole and not make comments directed towards individual council members. And lastly, do not engage in disorderly conduct or disrupting the public meeting, which is prohibited by Tennessee law, and someone commits that offense if the person substantially obstructs or interferes with the meeting by physical action or verbal utterance with the intent to prevent or disrupt a lawful meeting or gathering. Having stated those rules, please go ahead, Mr. Bell.
Thank you.
Hold on one second, Mr. IT, if you'd give us 3 minutes on the clock, please.
Well, thank you,
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair. Monty Bell, the homeless journalist, gray haired Fox man with the $1 trillion voice, 625 George Avenue here, 1000 Lindsay Street. Here are my addresses. Last time I was here, I made mention that I'm tired. I need my money. I am really tired of you all, and I need my money. On last Thursday, I went through that bulk of attorney package that you all used to put in the agenda. You don't do it anymore since I reported Melvin J. Malone of Butler and Snow being in a contract. That's a classmate, former classmate of mine that's been violating my human rights and civil rights. A black man. We've got some black people that I'm getting ready to expose. Many of you, if you're on YouTube, you see Monty Bell's public exposure, Pub X, the Total Connection, being spreaded all around Hollywood. It's coming to a place near you. But now,
Mr. Bell, I'm going to have to ask you to keep this to matters that are under
it
the
is,
authority
sir,
of the
because
council.
see, your city attorney and the county attorney, your city attorney, Reuben.
Well, we don't,
Your
Reuben Taylor
city
is not
attorney,
under our
Philip A.
authority
Noblett.
either.
Your attorney, sir, Philip A.
I'm just going
Noblett.
to ask you to keep your comments under the authority of the city council.
Your attorney, Philip A. Noblett, and the county attorney, Reuben M. Taylor, all of the judges that were listed as 4 circuit court judges.
We have no authority under
yes, you
circuit
do.
court. No.
Here it is right here, sir.
No, sir.
I just contacted an attorney on Thursday that was hired by you all, appointed to my life. I'm a pro se litigant. You all have been playing these little, as they call them, Mary Poppins or whatever these little fairy tale games you've been playing with my life. It has already come to an end. Right here, sir, it tells you fraud on the court for an incident that happened right here. That gentleman sitting right there was sitting right here when I had to call SWAT because you all wouldn't stop folks from acting a fool here. David Toulis has been a problem, just like your city attorney, in my life. I filed a complaint against him. I want to know why everybody in the city, county, and state is in my cause. So yeah, it involves you. $211 billion, $34 million. In fact, I had guns drawn on me after the city attorney and another one of your city attorneys sat here and challenged me like you did during my 3 minutes. That's a violation of my rights to address you as a panel. And they were both wrong. 20 days later, I get a gun drawn on me for a cause that happened here. Yeah, your city police chief, here less than 60 days, you don't have a job until you're here 90 days, arrested me right out here for the same cause that your former city attorney, Emily O'Donnell, stood behind a police car and said, yeah, this is Monty Bell. That's who I call the police on. I can now go into the city council. I feel safe now. These are my legal matters. These are my legal matters. Sir, you were sitting here and you're going to be charged with 3 or 4 felonies.
Mr. Bell, your time has expired. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you. But we'll be back and I want my money.
Is there anybody else that would like to address the council this afternoon?
Challenge that.
Council, I see no other. So moved.